time you are looking to 3D print a model, you can't simply take an STL file that you've built or found, put it on a USB stick, and plug it into your machine. You first have to translate that file into something that the 3D printer can understand. This is called slicing. In this video, we're going to do a deep dive on our slicing software, RoboPrint, so you can learn all the different features available to you in it. If you're just looking for a quick 2-minute getting started guide, refer to our introduction video rather than this deep dive video. Let's get started with the basics of the deep dive into RoboPrint. To load a file in, you can either go to File, Load File, or you can click on the Model File button in the top left. When you select that, you'll have the option of bringing in multiple files using the little cube button and selecting whatever files you would like to bring into your scene. If any of your files have warnings, you can have the software repair them for you. Now, when I bring in multiple objects like this, I can either use my right toolbar to adjust or change them, for instance, use Move to make sure that none of them are overlapped, or I can even have the software auto layout them for me. Now, before I want it to do much auto laying out, I have to make sure I'm on the right printer type. So in the bottom left-hand corner, you can select your specific type of 3D printer from the selected options. To do so, click on the little icon with the extruder, select machine type, and then select your 3D printer. Now I can see the objects on the machine I'm looking to print on. To get everything to be laid out all nice and neatly on my build plate, I'm going to go a little further down on my toolbar and have it auto layout all models. When I click on that button, it asks me how far apart I would like them, so I will stick with the default value and click OK. At this point, I know none of my models are overlapping, and if I want, I can still use Move to arrange them in a more human, intuitive manner rather than what the computer may generate. You can also select multiple models at once by holding down the Control key on your keyboard and selecting multiple models. Now, with all of my models selected, I can click Center to make sure that they are centered on my build plate. I also want to make sure that all of my models are sitting on the platform. So with each one individually selected, I could click on Platform, or I can look to the bottom and make sure that we are seeing blue. Anywhere you see blue, that tells you that the model is touching the build plate. Now, if you notice on this particular model, the whole base layer is not actually touching the build plate. But thankfully, RoboPrint has an option that allows you to make minor adjustments to models to improve their success of printing. So with the model selected, I'm going to go past Move, Rotate, and Scale, which allow me to do basic adjustments, and instead use the Cut option. With the Cut option selected, I can choose an axis upon which I would like to cut my model into 2 pieces. So I'm going to slide this down and look at it from the bottom, so I know I'm just cutting off the very bottom edge to make a nice smooth bottom layer. When I have it lined up, I can click Start Cut, and it will break my model into 2 separate pieces. Now I can delete using the keyboard button on my computer or the trash can button on this model menu here. Any models I don't want that I wanted removed when I cut them in half, and any models I still want, I can now once again look at the Move menu to make sure that that new piece is sitting on the platform like I would like. We'll also again move it into a better position for printing. These are some of the basic ways that you can bring in multiple files and make edits to your models using RoboPrint. Other options that RoboPrint has for you is adding things like support structures. So if I wanted to print something that didn't have a nice smooth bottom like these do, but instead was set up maybe at some sort of angle or just didn't have a flat piece at the bottom, I would need to add supports for something like this to print well. So anytime I feel like I have anything overhanging, anything that might need a support structure, I'm going to go into the supports menu on the right-hand side. When I click on that, I have the option of generating either tree-like or linear structures. You'll figure out which one you prefer, and you can click Auto Supports and it will generate that particular type of structure based on where it thinks it needs them on your model. Now you might be looking at this going, I think I need more supports, so you can either manually add them, or you can adjust the details on what your overhang threshold is. Maybe I wanted to apply supports at even a lower angle, and now I would like to regenerate auto supports. It will ask me if I'd like to delete the current ones and then regenerate. And now you can see that it is generating supports based on those new parameters. So the supports menu is really important anytime you are looking at doing any sort of 3D models with overhangs, and just make sure that you manually add these supports using the auto supports button before going to print, or your model will not print automatically with supports. Once you're happy and have made any changes or edits you want to your support structures, you can click back to close out of that menu. Additionally, in RoboPrint, you can work with some of these remaining controls. You can connect machines directly to RoboPrint using a cord running from your computer to the machine. You can even control multiple machines by putting them into groups and connecting them this way. There's also an option in RoboPrint to generate a 3D model from an image file. So I'm going to delete the files I have in here already, and instead load in a JPEG image that is in black and white to turn into my 3D model. To load an image, first go to File and Load File just like you would for an STL file, but instead find the image you would like to convert to 3 dimensions. I'm going to use a topography map of the lunar surface from NASA. So I'm going to select my model, select my image, click Open, and it will give me a few options. I can choose whether the darker colors are thicker or thinner based on my image, and then choose a base thickness and a maximum thickness, as well as the overall dimensions of my object. I can also choose whether I want this on a plane, a sphere, a tube, a canister, a lamp, or a seal. For now, I'm just going to go with plane and click OK. I can now see the object that was generated from that map. The lighter areas of the map are thicker and the darker areas are thinner. If this is not what you were expecting and you were looking for the reverse, go in and adjust your settings by re-bringing in the file. For comparison's sake, I'm now going to bring it in just so you can see what it looks like if I were to bring it in as a different shape. So this time we're going to select a sphere, and it will ask whether it wants the diameter, again the same thickness, and whether or not it should be an ellipsoid. So I'll leave it with all the same settings it has, except I'll leave the shape as sphere. And now when I click OK, I have a 3-dimensional model of the moon. And this is one of those things where you may have to make some adjustments or tweaks to get exactly the model you are looking for, but you can do all of this right in RoboPrint. Once you have your 3D model ready for printing, and remember, if you're doing something that needs supports, to go in and auto-generate them before setting it to print. So once your model is ready for 3D printing and you've added any supports that it may need, you can close the support menu and click Start Slicing. Within the slicing menu, you have our basic settings of either fine detail, standard detail, or fast, the ability to add or remove a raft, or you can even go into expert mode and work through all of these different menus to completely customize the supports, the infill, the shells, everything to your liking. If this is too much, stick with basic mode for now until you get more familiar with your 3D printer. When you're happy with the settings, click Slice, and it will generate the file for you for your 3D printer that you have selected in the bottom left. You will notice RoboPrint color codes the print according to different things. So supports are in blue, and I can actually scroll down and see each individual layer at a time. So in this case, the object is actually hollow, and it has supports on the inside to help create a structure for your moon sphere. If you're happy with the preview and you're happy with the amount of time it says it will take to print, you can save it to your computer or to a USB drive, which you can then bring to your 3D printer and turn your image or your STL file into a 3D printed model. Thanks so much for watching this deep dive into RoboPrint. We hope you've learned a lot and are really excited by all the capabilities the software has to offer.